We're in an interesting situation now where we could be live and we may not be. I am not sure because Zoom. All right, we are live.
All right.
So
I felt alive.
It felt live, didn't it? But Zoom just did something strange. So I have confirmation that we are in fact live right now. Thank you so much for joining today, JulieRae. It's great to have you here and talking about San Marcos, which is one of the communities that everyone, if you talk to people who live here in San Marcos, they love it. I've never talked to someone who's like, I can't wait to get out of San Marcos. And one of the things that's, kind of mind-boggling to me over the years is that I've always heard a lot of people, they instantly go, I can't afford San Diego, I'm going to Riverside. And they forget about some of the stops along the way that they should be looking at for value. So I think it's going to be fun to talk about San Marcos today amidst this, these crazy times that we're in.
Yeah, right.
Not just for the country and the world and whatever, but also for real estate, which has been absolutely bonkers. And we're going to look at some of the numbers there. So thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So I'm going to share my screen and just pull up these stats. I like to go facts first and then opinions. So we've probably got a lot of opinions to share, but let's take a look at some of the facts here just to give people a feel. If you're not sure about San Marcos, we're going to show you the map as well. Or we're going to talk about some of the different things around there. But this is just kind of the number. So these are the two zip codes in San Marcos. Yeah.
Right. These are the two zip codes. You got the 92078, which has a lot of people have heard of San Elijo Hills, Discovery Hills, Lake San Marcos. As you can see, the prices, like everywhere, are significantly increased from last year. Inventory is low. And
so let's look at that. So 92078, we have a 14.6% price increase year over year.
Right.
That's cray. So this went from medium 765 to 876 in one calendar year.
Yeah.
How much, this is just, I'm gonna get you an opinion from you from here because we don't have the graph necessarily. We have some averages down here. How much of that do you think has happened in the last 6 months versus the first 6 months of that 12 month span?
I think a lot of it has been the last 6 months. And I think a lot of it is because of what you just alluded to when you first started talking. It's still, even though that price can be intimidating to some people, it's still pretty affordable for San Diego County when you consider the schools, which we'll get into later. So, and also the thing about San Marcos, it's kind of cool, is you're still relatively close to the beach and all kinds of other great, parts of San Diego County, but you're somewhat rural in a way. And I think people are looking for that more space, and with COVID, just kind of, having a bigger house and more land.
Yeah, it seems like the areas that have been known for bang for your buck have been the areas that have done really, really well. And that's always been the case, right? Like, buy the worst house in the best neighborhood has been a real estate saying for so long. And, that's what you do. If you're buying in the areas that are more affordable, you see those areas have really, really gone up. Now, what's the difference, JulieRae, between the 92078 and the 92069? I know it's over here on the 069, we haven't seen quite as, but the median's a little bit lower, went from 629 to 660. So still a nice 5% chunk in 1 year, but not nearly as much as the 078. What's the difference between those two areas for someone who might be considering that?
Well, the thing about 92078 is that it's very desirable to live in that San Elijo Hills village. They've actually just right before COVID, they added a whole bunch of great little restaurants, and it's kind of almost European in feel. You can walk there from various parts of the neighborhood. It's a great place for kids to hang out. And there's 3 different schools in there. There's San Elijo Elementary, San Elijo Middle, and then a couple of years ago, they built an amazing K-8 school up on the top of the hill, Double Peak. So it's kind of an all-inclusive area that people really like. So it's a hot area. And so you can see that with how much activity is going on.
Yeah, 99.8% list. And on the other side, on the 069 side, over 100% list. By the way, that's on average. Right. It's on average. So that includes all the crazy people who've listed their homes for way higher than they should be. And, and all that, the average is 100.1% of list price here in the 069, which is nuts.
Yeah.
One thing that I've focused mostly on veterans and active duty personnel buyers. And so, that's kind of my wheelhouse. I cannot think of a veteran buyer that I've had who's purchased in San Marcos. I can't think of one. I,
Really?
yeah, I think we need to put this on the map, and that's what we're doing here. Because this is one of those places I talk about it all the time. I tell people to check it out. I don't know if they're doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like if they did, you got good schools, good bang for your buck, lots of different property type options, right? You've got all kinds of different attached options versus detached options.
Yeah.
Kind of have it all there.
You really do. There's some amazing townhouses in both zip codes. And going over to, if you go back over to 92069, there are some amazing values. There's a lot of people that are in one of the neighborhoods. It's Richland. It's right near Woodland Hills Middle School. People are coming in and flipping stuff because it's kind of in that turnover, nearly dead, newlywed period. But there's some great deals and some really nice people are doing some really nice work with some of these single levels. So 92069, that's where I tell people there are super deals to still be had.
Yeah, it sure looks like it. I mean, you've got still doing well there on the attached here. And by the way, we can provide you with these documents and all this information. If you want to reach out to Julie Rae, I'll have her contact information on everything on the YouTube, on the Facebook. It'll all be there. She can get you this data if you're interested in looking further into some stuff in San Marcos. But you can see on here, the median sales price a year ago, August, 383,900 in the 069, 406,500. So still up 6%, actually outpacing detached for the same time frame in the same zip code, which is really interesting. But it also shows you that you're really at a good level there, a good price point. That $400,000 price point is pretty, it's a big deal for a lot of people, especially first-time buyers. A lot of my first-time military buyers, that's the sweet spot, so that's good to know that that's available and it's possible, and that's the average, which means there's probably some that are a little less than that too.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great way to get into the market. And then even like if you have little kids, you get like a 2 to 3 bedroom, and then you can always, move up and either keep it for a rental or sell and get a bigger house.
So tell me about this, like for, for stickiness. This seems like one of those areas, and I don't have enough experience with this, where I want to ask you. It seems like one of these areas where people go and they don't leave. Is that right about somewhere? Do people just stay there forever?
It seems like they do, yes. And part of it is it's been kind of exciting the last few years to see the development with the Cal State San Marcos coming in, and the growth there has just been exponentially amazing and continues to be so. They're about 14,000 students, I believe, and their projection is 25,000 students, or 20, I think it's 30,000 students by 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're just on fire. And with that, they're building more dorms, they're building more restaurants, there are lots of things for the kids to do. There's an area called North City, which has housing for the kids, but also there's apartments for lease. They've got some amazing restaurants. It's walkable. They're continuing to build, so that's becoming a really nice kind of a downtown area, because San Marcos has never really had a downtown. So that's kind of what that now is signifying for the area. It's walkable. You can go down, park your car, go have dinner, then walk down and have ice cream or coffee. And they've now just put a weekly farmers market in down there. So it's really fun.
Getting it all together. I mean, having the college is such a huge advantage for so many reasons. First of all, it's great for investment real estate. Obviously, it creates such amazing opportunities. If you have kids that are going to go to those schools, it makes sense for you to buy real estate in the area, have a place for them to live, rent out rooms to roommates, etc. Create some really cool opportunities, but also lots of jobs come in. When you have universities, you have professors, you have, lots of different people who work there, become a big employer. So those people want to live nearby. You also get lots of activities going on. When we talk about 25,000 students, I remember when I went to Mizzou, date myself a little bit. This is 20 years plus ago, but this is Mizzou, which is Division I, SEC was Big 8 back then, but big deal university. We had about 25,000 students when I went. And so if they're close to that level already for Cal State San Marcos, that's a huge number of people to just sort of dump into an area for the sake of an economy. I mean, that's a really, really good thing to have.
It is. Yeah. And I may have been, I think it's 25,000 by 2030. So let's get that straight.
Okay.
The other thing that's great about it is that they have a policy where I think it's Orange County, Riverside, and San Diego County students all get first serve preferential treatment for admissions, which is fabulous because not all Cal State schools offer that. just because everyone's trying to, especially now, make money off tuition and out-of-state students. But that's really a wonderful thing. And I think that's why a lot of kids are going there. It's a great way that you can ease into the system.
Yeah. Well, it makes a lot of sense too. I mean, if you're going to, get a longer term education where you're going to be, looking to go to graduate school and things like that, to try to be more efficient for those first couple of years makes a ton of sense. And a lot of smart people are doing that these days. Here's just for people who don't know, hey, what are you talking about? Where is this San Marcos place I've never heard of before? Let's show you. So you can see here, just west of Escondido, I think is probably the easiest way to describe it. And you're basically touching Escondido on your east and Carlsbad on your west. Is that right, Julie?
That's right. Yep. And then you've got Vista up north there. So yeah, that's the three main boundaries. And yeah, as you can see, like San Elijo is up against the Elfin Forest over there. Down
yeah, right here.
Mm-hmm.
This area there.
Yeah.
Lake San Marcos, right here.
Yeah, which is a great area. And a lot of people don't even know about that. I mean, have you been there before? Let's ask.
You know what? I've never been to Lake San Marcos.
Hey, oh my God. See, this is so funny. So many people haven't been there. It is such a cool place. And you can even just go there well, now they're open for dinner, but you can sit on the edge of this lake. They have boat rentals there. I mean, it's amazing and really beautiful. Lots of it used to be a 55 plus community. And so there's it's about 95% single levels, but now they've been turning them and flipping them. And it's a great place to live. And it's a great place that the values are starting to go up just because that single level type of a property is so desirable. And it's such a nice little kind of contained community. But there's still deals to be had, and you get the school district. You're right next to San Marcos High School if you want to hear the marching band when they're actually marching.
Well, a couple of things I noticed just here from a macro perspective. So just for people who are trying to figure out, get their orientation, here's Oceanside, here's Vista. Okay, here's Escondido over here. This is all Carlsbad here.
Mm-hmm.
Right in that area. So it looks like we've got, a direct line. This is our sort of direct shot to the beach here from San Elijo. I'm not sure what road that, from San Marcos. I'm not sure what road that is. But it looks like there's
either go Palomar Airport Road.
That's probably it.
Right. And, but then you can go, if you go through San Elijo, that goes down into Encinitas.
Oh, you go down this way. Okay.
Yeah, like into La Costa.
So you go down that way too.
Yeah.
So you got a couple different ways to go, but just from a macro perspective, I see this. So easy, simple, not a long trip to get to the beach. Big plus for San Diego, right? You want that. A lot of people need that. They love the water, and I totally get it. But also, when you see a big chunk of an area backed up to a reserve like this, and you can see a big chunk of the San Marcos area here is backed up to this huge reserve where basically nothing will ever be built in this area. These reserves are completely protected, especially in California. There's no chance they're not going to get touched. So you have this space where you hit a wall, like you can't grow San Marcos south anymore.
Right.
And when you kind of get boxed in like that, it just automatically means you're going to have limited inventory. Remember, we also have some of this stuff going on up here as well. And we're right up against Escondido on this side. Mm-hmm. So, and you have Carlsbad over here. So it is a very contained area. I don't know. Are there new builds taking place in San Marcos? Is there any new construction at all?
There are some. They're just finishing a development. It's called Tesoro, and it's kind of part of San Elijo still, but it's going down towards the 92069 side because it's coming down Twin Oaks towards the university. But they've been building there. And then there's pockets around San Marcos where they're building. And then there's an area that one of my favorite areas. It's off Mulberry Drive. It's in the Twin Oaks by the golf course. There's some really cool, small little developments in there, not big scale. But that's where when I was talking about rural, there's horses and there's a winery down there. It's a really cool area, and it's kind of becoming more mixed.
Tell me where that is on here, so we can kind of dial in what you're talking about. So this is the area that you really like?
Yeah, it's right in there. Yeah, Twin Oaks. You see up here there's Mesa Rock. That's part of Escondido, but right in here, like where the Twin Oaks Twin Oaks Golf Course is, if you go down a little bit on the map, because it's up at the top where you see Grove Park. Put your cursor way up top at the.
Oh, here it is, way up here. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So right up in this area.
Yeah, up in that area.
Okay. So the more northern area. So this is where it looks like you can kind of see bigger lots and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's great little pockets in there. But you're right. There's not a ton. I mean, it's not. It still feels. It doesn't feel crowded. There's still room. They try to make bigger lots, but they still are doing some new construction. And again, on kind of a smaller scale.
And we were talking about Cal State San Marcos, but I'll tell you right now, being in the media business, Palomar College also is a big draw. I have a bunch of people who worked for me over the years that went there and did media and different stuff like that. So not only do you have Cal State, but you also have Palomar. So you almost have like a little college town here.
You do.
That somehow is cheaper than some of the other areas in San Diego, which makes no sense.
Yeah, it's one of the things I put on like top 5 reasons to move, because the education is a huge priority here. And Palomar, they help kids get in. If you have a 2.0 or better and you went to San Marcos Unified, they will, well, actually now they changed it. So it's more than that. It's any Cal State resident. If you have a 2.0 or higher, they'll help you with your tuition and books and fees. It's kind of hard to explain, but essentially it's as cheap as about $46 a credit.
Wow.
As long as you stay in and get a certain grade point and stay engaged, they help you through it. So it's a really great and inexpensive way to get your undergrad done. And then you can transfer into, Cal State San Marcos, SDSU. So it's a great school.
USC, whatever you're feeling.
Yeah, whatever you want. There you go. Sky's the limit.
So recalibrating here. Here's the lake that I haven't been to, which is shame on me.
Yeah, you need to go take your wife to dinner there. It's really pretty.
100%. I don't know what I'm thinking. Here's San Elijo area. So here's San Elijo Park, San Elijo Hills right here, which we talked about.
Which also has amazing trails and hiking. Like, I don't know if you've been to the top of Double Peak before, but the views are just unbelievable.
I've been hearing this for so many years. I'm taking notes today. I got things I got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some beautiful view. I mean, beautiful ocean views. That's another reason there's some palatial, gorgeous homes up on the top of these hills up there, which is what's driving some of those prices up, and they're worth it because it's just amazing, fantastic.
I was going to ask you, like, is there, what are how many, homes in San Marcos are like ocean view? I mean, you've got kind of a clear lane to the west, right? Do you have ocean view homes in San Marcos?
Yep. There are ocean view homes. That's pretty much mainly San Elijo.
Okay.
And as I say, some of these hilltop developments are breathtaking. But I will say also what comes with that is because it's a newer development and there's a lot of infrastructure that had to go in, the Mello Roos is higher in 92078.
Okay. So we have a little Mello Roos. When is the Mello Roos for the most part scheduled to be done with in that area? Do you know?
It's around 20-ish years.
Okay. 20 more years.
Yeah. So that's another reason that you get your VA buyers to call me for 92069, because there's no or low HOAs in 92069 because those communities like Santa Fe Hills, Richland area, they are older and they're either, they don't have the Mello Roos anymore. And if they have an HOA, it's minimal.
So that's good to know, because I do feel like there are certain communities, we see some of this with some of the older Mello Roos communities, but there's like a new wave of Mello Roos communities the past decade, I would say, or so, where there will be some Mello Roos speculation that takes place down the road. Because when those fees do come off, we have seen property values will go up because the affordability increases in those areas. So that's something to kind of keep in mind too. You can almost count on that happening in the future. Maybe a ways down the road, but just something to keep in mind. Right. Just while I have you here, I mean, this is great. I think San Marcos is something that makes sense. A lot of people need to check this out. And we showed you some stats here. We gave you some facts just so you can see, hey, listen, this area is doing extremely well. It's something I've been telling people to check out before you just immediately run to Riverside County. Check out some of these areas that you maybe less heard of that sort of, have tight knit areas. I mean, San Marcos is definitely one of them. I think a lot of people would enjoy living there. I know people who live there who love it. The schools are amazing, lots of opportunity, lots of options there. The college is huge for real estate. It's a great investment. But while I have you, JulieRae, what is some of your advice in this market right now? Let's get some timely advice. Do you have any advice for buyers and or sellers in this market right now?
In terms of, what do you mean? Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Just like, a tidbit, maybe just a nugget, something to help, sellers maximize the opportunity right now, or buyers to just get in somewhere.
Yeah. I'd say the sellers, get it listed as soon as you can, because nobody knows what's going to happen, as we all are speculating on all of this. And then with buyers, I say, get your game face on, put your best foot forward. And I've been telling I've been working with a couple buyers, and I've been telling them that in some ways, because the market's so crazy, maybe you should lower your expectations in terms of your price point limit, because we're having to go so much over asking. So I've been saying, say you think you can spend 575, maybe you in your head, you should psychologically think more like 550, so that then you have that extra to play with, because it's just so disheartening, and it's so sad when I've been I just got these guys, and thank God, into a house that I was working with for a few months, and it was so frustrating because you just get beat out. They were trying so hard.
It's tough when you get beat out over and over.
So hard. It's so hard for buyers right now. And I've been lucky. I've had more listings than I've had buyers. But again, the list, you have to be careful on the listing side, because you got to make sure it's going to appraise. But yeah, I'd say if you're going to sell, get on the bandwagon now and make it happen, just in case things change. And if you're going to buy, just prepare yourself for rejection. Try to stay optimistic.
Prepare yourself for battle, stick with it. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably the most, the biggest piece of advice I would have is just stick with it. Don't give up. Don't feel beaten down. Remember, in order for you to win, you got to end up with a house. So, stick to winning. And at the end of the day, it will be disheartening. There'll be it's really a bummer sometimes when you're like, oh, I know we've got it. Like, I know the listing agent, we put in a good word. We've done all these different things. We've gone above and beyond, and you still don't get it. That may still happen, so this is a market for competitive people, I think. Yeah. And you need to be, if you aren't a competitive person, you need to become one for a few weeks so that you can, win in this market. So I totally agree with you there. And it's a good point you make too about, if you're on the sell side, we have what I would call right now the strongest sellers market I've ever seen. And I've seen some strong sellers markets. So it couldn't be better if you're a home seller.
And it might stay, and who knows, but it might not. That's all. You just can't, we don't know. Nobody has a crystal ball.
It's true. It's true. No one knows, but something to consider when you're looking. Hey, San Marcos, let's keep it let's share this video. Let's let people know about this place, because it's something that, like we were just talking about, I've never been to Lake San Marcos. We hiked every place all over the place in San Diego County. Haven't hiked Santa Lee Hill. What am I doing? Well, this is just what happens. Sometimes things get out of sight, out of mind. Let's bring San Marcos back in sight, in mind. JulieRae, thank you so much for coming on today, sharing your knowledge with us. I really appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Take care.
All right. Appreciate it. Hey, let's share this video, friends. Let's make sure that your friends in your sphere are smarter than everyone else when it comes to San Diego real estate. Thank you.